Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geostrategic Pulse. Thank you for watching or listening to the podcast. What if one aircraft purchase could quietly reshape the balance of power across the Indo-Pacific? Indonesia has just made a move that few people are talking about, but military planners definitely are. The country is acquiring Leonardo's new M-346F Block 20 light fighter, a combat jet packed with advanced sensors, a ESA radar, and multi-role capabilities. But here's the real question. Why did Indonesia choose this aircraft, and what message does it send to the rest of Asia? Today we'll break down what makes this deal so important, how it fits into Indonesia's rapidly expanding air force, and why it could have strategic consequences far beyond Southeast Asia. Before we dive in, I'd love to hear your opinion. Is Indonesia making the right choice with the M-346F Block 20, or should it have invested in a different fighter? Share your thoughts in the comments. I read as many of them as I can, and some of the best insights from this community end up shaping future videos. If you enjoy in-depth military and geopolitical analysis, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who follows global defense. Now, let's get started.
Yeah, hello everyone. I completely agree with that setup. Our mission for today's deep dive is really to analyze the latest updates from the July 21, 2026 announcement at the Farnborough International Air Show.
Right.
And we're going to keep this analysis short, precise, and, strictly focused on the strategic implications of these new capabilities.
Okay, let's unpack this, because to truly grasp the geopolitical shift happening in Southeast Asia right now, we kind of have to look past the political rhetoric, right?
Oh, absolutely.
We have to examine the exact hardware Indonesia is bringing online, specifically the 12 new light fighters scheduled for delivery starting in 2030.
Yeah, the M-346F.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, if you are following global defense, you probably know that this jet is fundamentally based on a trainer. I mean, it's a platform with over 100,000 flight hours globally.
Very proven, very reliable.
Right. And highly maneuverable.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, when I first saw this in the latest news, I was pretty confused. We are talking about a region where superpowers are flying fifth-generation stealth fighters, like the F-35 and the J-20.
Right, the heavy hitters.
Yeah, so how does a retrofitted trainer aircraft actually survive, let alone deter an adversary, in a highly contested modern airspace? It's like taking a highly maneuverable, lightweight sports car and suddenly giving it the armor, radar, and weapon system of a heavy-duty tactical command center.
Well, what's fascinating here is just how massive a technological leap this Block 20 upgrade actually represents. I mean, you really have to discard the idea that this is just a trainer with a gun strapped to it.
So it's a totally different aircraft now.
Fundamentally different, mostly because of its digital architecture and its sensor fusion. If we look inside the cockpit first, the older interface, which relied on 6 separate displays, is entirely gone.
Oh, wow. Entirely.
Yeah, gone. In its place, each seat is equipped with a large area display, or LAD. This is essentially this massive customizable touchscreen that stretches right across the dashboard.
Kind of like what you find in a fifth-generation fighter.
Exactly like that. But it goes beyond just screens. The pilots are also getting an augmented reality helmet-mounted display, the HMD.
I want to pause on that for a second because HMD technology sounds a bit like science fiction, but it has completely changed how pilots fight.
It really has.
Because if you are flying an older jet, you have to look down at your dashboard to check your speed, altitude, your radar, and then look back up through a physical piece of glass to aim.
The traditional heads-up display, yeah.
Right. But with an HMD, all of that critical telemetry, the radar data, and even the targeting crosshairs, it's all projected directly onto the visor of the pilot's helmet.
Right in their line of sight.
Exactly.
Right.
So no matter where the pilot turns their head, even if they're looking straight up through the canopy or, over their shoulder at an enemy aircraft, the targeting system follows them. They can quite literally look at an enemy jet, lock on, and fire a missile without ever pointing the nose of their own aircraft at the target.
That is exactly how it functions, and you can see how that drastically reduces pilot workload during a chaotic high-G dogfight.
Oh, for sure.
But the real teeth of this fighter, the capability that truly transforms it into a multi-role asset, comes from the Active Electronically Scanned Array, or AEC, fire control radar.
Let's break down the mechanics of that, because that acronym gets thrown around a lot in defense analysis, but the actual mechanism is what matters.
That's crucial, yes.
Older, mechanically scanned radars are essentially like holding a flashlight in a dark room. You have a physical dish in the nose of the jet that sweeps back and forth. You can only see what the beam of light is currently illuminating.
Right, it's very directional.
So if you were tracking a target on the left, you are literally blind to what is happening on the right until the dish physically turns. And more importantly, anyone else in the room can see your flashlight sweeping around and know exactly where you are.
That is a great way to visualize it. An ASA radar, by contrast, does not physically move at all.
That's just static.
Yeah, it is a fixed plate, and it's embedded with hundreds, sometimes thousands, of individual transmit and receive modules. So to use your analogy, it is like instantly turning on 1,000 laser pointers simultaneously.
Oh, wow.
Aiming them in different directions and being able to turn them on and off in microseconds.
So it scans the sky almost instantly.
Yes. It can track dozens of targets simultaneously across different elevations, guide multiple missiles at once, and while it is significantly harder for enemy sensors to detect because it constantly changes its frequencies.
That is a massive advantage.
It is. And when you pair that RSO radar with the aircraft's new built-in missile data link, the M-346F can share all that targeting data with other friendly assets in the air or on the ground.
But radar is only part of the equation, right? What about defense?
Well, to survive in a contested environment, the jet features a new defensive aid subsystem, or DAS.
Which isn't just armor, I'm assuming.
No. It is a digital and electronic shield. The system incorporates radar warning receivers to alert the pilot the literal second they are painted by an enemy radar.
Alongside automated countermeasures.
Exactly, like chaff and flares to spoof incoming missiles.
Okay, so the latest info also notes a massive upgrade to the payload capacity. They have added 2 wingtip missile rails, the total number of hardpoints to 7. That allows the aircraft to carry over 2,000 kilograms of weapons.
Right.
Now, I like to play devil's advocate here. Carrying 2,000 kilograms on a light fighter frame shifts what this specific aircraft can do, sure. But compared to like an F-15EX that can carry over 13,000 kilograms, 2,000 seems like a drop in the bucket. Is that enough firepower to actually matter strategically?
It absolutely matters, especially when you understand the doctrine of the high-low mix.
Okay, explain that.
Well, no Air Force wants to use a heavy twin-engine fifth-generation fighter that costs tens of thousands of dollars per flight hour just to perform routine border patrols.
Or to intercept slow-moving surveillance drones.
Exactly. That is a terrible return on investment, and it just burns through the airframe lifespan of your most valuable assets. So the M-346F handles the low end of that mix.
I see.
With a 2,000-kilogram payload, it has more than enough capacity to carry short and medium-range air-to-air missiles for homeland defense and air policing.
So it is essentially doing the grueling, everyday, tactical works.
It can be loaded with precision-guided munitions for close air support to assist ground troops, or it can carry targeting pods for tactical reconnaissance.
So by letting the M-346F handle these vital but lower-intensity missions, Indonesia preserves the flight hours and readiness of their heavy-hitting assets for major engagements.
Precisely.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just an off-the-shelf purchase where Indonesia writes a check, takes delivery of the jets on a tarmac, and calls it a day.
No, not at all.
The recent news highlights a major partnership with a domestic company, PTE System Solutions. This deal mandates the localization of support, maintenance, overhaul, and human capital development. It really makes you wonder, is the actual aircraft just the delivery system? And is this local tech transfer the real weapon in this deal?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, your suspicion is entirely justified. The metal itself is highly capable, sure, but the manufacturing and maintenance infrastructure fundamentally changes Indonesia's geopolitical standing in Southeast Asia.
I think a lot of people overlook maintenance as a strategic capability.
Oh, completely.
Because relying on foreign contractors for jet maintenance is essentially like leasing a car where the dealership holds the only key to open the hood. The car might be incredibly fast, but the second a war breaks out or diplomatic relations sour, that dealership might refuse to fix your engine or send you spare parts for political reasons.
And then what happens? Your multi-million-dollar jet becomes a static museum piece on the runway.
Exactly. So by forcing technology transfers and localizing maintenance, Indonesia is building its own garage and forging its own keys.
That is the reality of modern defense supply chains. In a high-intensity conflict, global logistics networks will freeze. Shipping lanes will be contested, and replacement parts simply will not arrive.
Yeah, we've seen how fragile supply chains can be.
Right, so if a nation cannot independently maintain, repair, and overhaul its air wing, its combat effectiveness will degrade to zero within weeks. By localizing support through PTE System Solutions, Indonesia is actively building a much more independent national aerospace industry.
They are drastically reducing their reliance on foreign supply chain bottlenecks.
Yes, they are.
And looking at the broader map, this is a major regional milestone. Indonesia becomes the first nation in Southeast Asia to operate the Block 20 and the 23rd global operator of the M346 family overall.
It's a significant expansion.
Yeah, you really have to contextualize this move as part of their massive long-term modernization roadmap. I mean, they're currently renovating their entire fleet, which includes integrating high-end, heavy-hitting assets like the Dassault Rafale.
Which goes back to the high-low mix we talked about. They now have the heavy, deep strike capability with the Rafale and the localized, cost-effective tactical capability with M-346F.
It creates a really layered, resilient air force. But, airspace is only one dimension of a nation's sovereignty.
Especially for Indonesia.
Right. For an archipelago comprised of over 17,000 islands stretching across crucial maritime choke points like the Malacca Strait, mastering the sky means nothing if your maritime borders remain porous and vulnerable.
Absolutely true.
Which is exactly why the second piece of Indonesia's strategy naturally shifts to the naval domain. The latest updates also detail a letter of intent for AW-149 helicopters, specifically earmarked for the Indonesian Navy.
Right.
Now, these are serious multi-role machines designed to operate in unforgiving maritime environments. They feature an unobstructed cabin that can be rapidly reconfigured depending on the mission. They are night vision goggle ready, allowing for 247 operations, and they have all-weather capabilities with specific desert and ice environmental filters.
Yeah, the AW-149 really fills a critical gap in their naval modernization. When you are managing an archipelago of that scale, you need a highly adaptable, interoperable asset capable of moving seamlessly between search and rescue, disaster relief, and high-stakes tactical extractions.
So they serve a ton of different roles.
They do. And the ability to launch these helicopters from embarked naval vessels extends Indonesia's operational reach far beyond their coastal bases. It gives the Navy rapid response capabilities in rapidly evolving scenarios.
Whether that is countering piracy, responding to natural disasters, or inserting specialized personnel during a maritime standoff.
Exactly.
But, nestled inside this latest info is a detail that really caught my eye, and it shifts the conversation from conventional military platforms to something entirely different. Leonardo was also looking at potential cooperation with the Ukrainian drone industry. So what does this all mean?
This raises an important question about multi-domain asymmetric warfare.
Okay.
Because the news surrounding the Ukrainian drone detail is brief, yes, but the strategic implications are profound. Think about the synthesis occurring here. You are taking advanced Western aerospace platforms like the M-346F with its AESA radar and the AW-149 helicopters and potentially combining them with battle-tested, highly adaptable Ukrainian drone concepts.
And Ukraine has fundamentally rewritten the rules of naval and asymmetric drone warfare over the last few years.
They really have.
We have seen a nation with virtually no traditional navy use cheap, distributed unmanned surface vessels to push a dominant superpower fleet out of the Black Sea.
Exactly.
They essentially proved that you don't need a billion-dollar destroyer to sink a billion-dollar destroyer. You just need a swarm of low-profile, explosive-laden drones that cost a fraction of a percent of the target they are destroying.
Right. The mathematics of modern conflict have entirely changed. If Indonesia takes those battle-tested concepts, whether they are sea-skimming maritime drones or localized aerial loitering munitions, and integrates them with their new top-tier Western hardware, they create a highly potent, multi-layered defense strategy.
Wow.
It blends traditional manned air superiority with distributed unmanned systems.
I'm trying to picture how that actually functions in a combat scenario. Like, say an adversary tries to push a naval blockade into Indonesian waters.
Okay, let's play that out.
You have the M-346F jets flying high above, using their AESA radars to track the enemy fleet from a safe distance, passing that targeting data down through secure data links.
Right.
Meanwhile, the AW-149 helicopters are repositioning operators across remote islands. And then, utilizing those Ukrainian-style asymmetric tactics, Indonesia launches a coordinated swarm of low-cost autonomous drones right at the fleet.
Exactly. And then what happens? The adversary is forced to spend multi-million-dollar interceptor missiles to shoot down cheap drones.
Just to survive the first wave.
Right. Eventually exhausting their magazines, leaving them entirely vulnerable to traditional airstrikes. It creates an environment that is incredibly difficult and economically ruinous for any adversary to operate in.
You have just outlined the essence of asymmetric deterrence.
It creates a layered defense that is exceptionally difficult to calculate or counter using traditional military math.
Because it's so unpredictable.
Yes. A superpower can calculate exactly how many ships or jets they need to defeat a conventional force of 12 light fighters. but they cannot easily calculate the attrition rate of facing hundreds of distributed, locally manufactured drones operating in tandem with those fighters across a massive maritime choke point.
It shows that Indonesian military planners are thinking about future conflicts, not just in terms of conventional symmetrical platforms, but in terms of adaptability, supply chain resilience, and multi-domain friction.
That is the big takeaway here, yes.
It fundamentally changes the calculus for anyone looking to exert undue influence in the region. You don't have to win a conventional war against a superpower. You just have to make the cost of them trying to win so painfully high that they never start the conflict in the first place.
That is the core objective of modern deterrence. By securing localized maintenance, acquiring highly capable but cost-effective platforms like the M-346F, and exploring asymmetric drone capabilities, Indonesia is maximizing its defensive posture without bankrupting its national treasury on a massive fleet of purely fifth-generation assets.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to mull over. With Indonesia acquiring advanced manned fighters while simultaneously exploring cooperation with Ukrainian drone industry, are we seeing the birth of a new middle power blueprint? One where a nation blends top-tier Western hardware with low-cost, asymmetric drone warfare to completely deter regional superpowers without sparking an outright arms race? It's a fascinating shift in global defense strategy that we will definitely be keeping an eye on. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching or listening to the discussion today. We really appreciate you joining us on this deep dive. Be sure to check out our channel and listen to the other podcasts we have available for more insights into the rapidly changing world of geostrategy. Until next time.